Joey Konsakija here. This is Inspire YG. Thank you for popping in here. How have you been? Hope you've been well. Inspire YG, this is a platform here on YouTube. It's also a platform on both Instagram and Facebook. I'm gonna put the links up here now in case you want to ask me any questions, especially if it's on a personal level. Get onto either Facebook or Instagram and DM me, and I will be sure to get back to you. So today, I just thought I had mentioned a couple of months or weeks ago that I was going to talk about English tests. I know in the past I did a video on my experience with trying to do IELTS exam or doing IELTS exam, both IELTS and PTE. So the video I'm talking about, I'll link it, I'll put a screenshot here just to show you, but I was talking about accreditation. And yeah, however, I touched just a little bit there because to get accreditation for a lot of professional courses in Australia, you have to actually do an English test sometimes. So, well, almost of the time, depending on your profession and depending on the course or the accreditation you're trying to get. So this is a page that I created a couple of years ago, and I jump on here and share my journey of an international student who came from Kenya, East Africa, and based in Sydney, Australia. This is where I studied. I'm no longer a student. However, I love all things matters international students, all matters international students. So I jump on here and I share some of the journey, no, some of the experiences I had, just so that if somebody else along their journey, because everybody has got, we all go through different journeys, but sometimes we have similar experiences. So I share those experiences in case I've gone through a hurdle or I've gone through an experience that to someone else will be a hurdle as well, and I share how I overcome that. And I've received a couple of feedback from a couple of videos that I've done in the past and gotten really good feedback in terms of people feel like they were supported or they got the answers they needed. So yeah, that's why I created this video. So let's jump into it. So let's jump into it. So it's not gonna be a long video because it's basically just me talking about my experience doing a PTE exam. So for those who don't know, PTE is one PTE. I'll put a link here, a little bit of a brief or a description of what PTE is. It's basically an English exam that a lot of countries, especially English speaking countries, ask people to do for different purposes, for visa purposes, for applying for universities or colleges in these English speaking countries. So now we do have heaps and heaps of exams. So we have PTE, we have IELTS, we have OET, which is an English test that nurses do or people studying nursing do. We also have TOEFL. So there are many. I'm sure there's some of them probably I'm leaving out. However, I'm more conversant or I'm a bit informed on IELTS and PTE because I have done those tests myself. So I came across this blog, and I'm probably gonna go through it with you guys, and so I'll be looking down here on my iPad just to go through this blog and see whether I sort of agree with what they are talking about, because I'm not sure whether it's, maybe they have done a bit of research. So it's an English school and a blog. They have a blog on their website. So they're talking about, is PTE easier than IELTS? So they're saying that their simple answer, their short answer is no. Now I beg to disagree with them, because my first take of PTE exam, I just passed. I had an A. So for PTE, let me actually quickly look at how they score, because I don't even remember. I did PTE exam last year. So scoring chart. So mainly they have so for IELTS it's different, like I said in my previous video. Please check it out if you haven't. They test you, you do the reading, the writing, the speaking, and the listening test, all on different in different sitting. And speaking, you do it face to face with a person. And the reason why I'm saying a person is because with PTE you actually don't need to talk to a person. It's all computer based. So now, why I disagree with them, like I said, with them is because the first time I actually took PTE, I had everything over 80. Yeah, I had like a superior level. So the superior competent. I think there is superior competent. I don't remember. There's another one. There's basic and obviously there's like below average, which is basically a fail. However, I'm trying to see. So guys, I should have checked this way before. However, I will get there. What I wanted to say was I disagree with the fact that they're saying they cannot say PTE is easier, but also I think, like I said, it depends because everybody's strength is not on the same thing. Some people have strength when it comes to reading tests, and then some people have got strengths when it comes to speaking tests. For myself, my speaking and listening tests I score very high because those are my strengths. And then reading and writing, especially for IELTS academic, those are not my strongest areas, so I don't always do so well. They mentioned that the reason, so one of the things they're saying is that there are a few reasons why people consider PTE to be easier than IELTS. So they're saying that first, IELTS has been around for much longer than PTE. They're also saying that since your score is only valid for 2 to 3 years, there are plenty of people who have previously taken IELTS one or more times before they take PTE, and so they don't. So many of these people will go and score higher on PTE than IELTS, and therefore consider it to be easier. I'm probably one of those people. So, however, it could be they're saying it could be because you have done the IELTS so many times and you have prepared so many times, so you have experience, and that's why you perform well in PTE. Now, that's their opinion. Another reason why PTE is considered to be easier is that it contains several tasks that a lot of people find easy. For example, writing from diction and highlighting incorrect words in a passage, which is pretty much easy. So it can also be argued that since PTE is 100% machine scored, so computerized or computer based, it removes the human error and moderator bias. For example, so many people talk about feeling anxious when they're doing like speaking tests in front of a human or a person. But this sort of anxiety can be removed when you're doing PTE because you're only in front of a computer and not a person. So in IELTS test, the speaking section is conducted face to face with an examiner. However, in PTE, you're speaking to a computer. So like that's, I was talking about how you can eliminate or alleviate the whole anxiety feeling when you're doing the speaking test. Now, like I said, this is not for everybody because like for myself, I perform very well in speaking because I just feel like I'm just going to meet a stranger, we're just going to have a conversation. I'll probably never meet this person ever again in life. And so I enjoy that interaction, and because of that, I do well in speaking tests. But that does not apply to everybody because not everybody is good with public speaking or face-to-face communication with people, especially strangers. Now, they were talking also about skill testing in each section. So in order to answer the question is PTE easier than IELTS? The same, we are going to take more in depth on the type of questions and how they are assessed. So both tests, so both PTE and IELTS, you are tested on your English skills. So reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Now the reading section is shorter on PTE, and it lasts between 31 to 41 minutes, and it consists of multiple choice questions, reordering paragraphs, and filling blanks questions. The IELTS reading section, however, consists of 40 questions, and you only have 60 minutes to do it. I would never manage, especially IELTS academic. For some reason, because the papers are scientific, I used to find it very technical, and I really used to read to understand, while what they tell you when you go to these English schools is skim through it. It's hard to skim through a scientific paper and then answer the questions with facts. So I never used to finish the reading test, and that's why I never used to do well, not because I couldn't read English, but because I didn't have enough time, or I didn't feel like I had enough time to work through my nerves and also be able to read the passage to understand, in order to have enough information to answer the passage, to answer the questions. So whilst the IELTS reading section is longer, it's also longer. So many people find it, and they say that many people find it easier. So I don't know, I'm not part of those many people, part of the people who find it challenging. Now the PTE writing section is combined with speaking assessment, which I loved. So you're sitting in front of a computer, and as you do this writing task, it's also giving you points for speaking task. This is in PTE, and it's conducted by a computer, obviously. Like I said, the IELTS include a separate section, which is carried out in person. So many people prefer speaking to a computer. Therefore, they determine that PTE speaking assessment is easier. That's what I was saying before. Now, the listening section of both tests involves listening to a recording, and before answering the questions based on what they have heard. Whilst the PTE listening section is longer, there is no evidence that it's easier. To be honest, because I also perform well or do well in IELTS listening, I didn't find any difference between the both, to be honest. You're basically just listening to a recording, and it could be a person from any English a native speaker of any of these English speaking countries. So it could be a Canadian accent, New Zealand accent, Australian accent, American accent, one of those. So a summarization of all these is while determining whether to take PTE or IELTS. So just know that to know which one is easier, it's actually very subjective, because it's a very personal thing to know what are your strengths. Like I said, some people find it easier to communicate or speak in English. Some people are not, their strength is not in speaking, but it is in writing English, or it is in listening or reading. So determining which is your strength, that can also be one of the reasons why, or it can give you a very good, it can be like a decision base for you to know which test to take. The other thing is, so like I said, that according to them, they're saying a lot of people stated that reading test in IELTS is easier than, well, not than anything, it's just easier. But like I said, it doesn't work for me. General IELTS reading test, I find it easier. But academic, to me, it's a bit challenging, like I said, because of scientific papers, and I don't have enough time. 60 minutes is not enough for me to grasp all the information. And also, a lot of people find the writing section of PTE easier considered to the IELTS. Now, there's also another thing to consider. So for the speaking test, also consider if you feel the nerves of speaking in front of a person, because IELTS can either be both computer-based or a sitting where it's a paper-based, but for PTE it's always computer-based. So if you feel the nerves speaking in front of a person, maybe PTE would be the best exam for you to take, because then you're just going to be speaking in front of a computer. And then what is the other thing? The other thing to consider is with the writing test, think about your handwriting. If you have one of those, like how people say I have a challenge in handwriting, if you feel like your hand, because sometimes you you could be writing pretty well, but then your handwriting could make you lose marks, because if the examiner and the person doesn't understand what you've written, they might have actually give you a lower score. However, when you're doing PTE or IELTS computer based, then you also need to determine your typing skills, because then with the computer based you have to type. So how fast are you with typing? So for myself, typing can writing, I write quicker than I type, so I probably would get more points with writing if handwriting was anything to go by. However, I feel like also based on where if you do the British Council and your test is marked in Britain, maybe the standard of the English standard of those teachers will probably be higher based on the country you come from. So you might end up losing marks if a person or a native speaker thinks your English written skill is of a lower standard than theirs. However, computer based, if you could try and type quicker and also have time to come in correct your typos, then you could actually find yourself getting more marks, because then, or even performing better, because then you eliminate the human bias. So overall, they're saying the best way to determine which test to take is actually do the online tests, like the mock exams they have online. There's so many on YouTube that are free, so do those, and then you're going to determine which one you're performing better, and from then you can know which exam to choose. The other thing that will probably be the guiding factor of which test to take is who is asking for the test, because sometimes the bodies or the organizations that are asking for the test will be very specific on which specific test they want you to do. Let me give you an example. And I know I mentioned this when the video I did last, I'll put it here, my accreditation. So if you study Bachelor or Masters of Social Work in Australia, to get accreditation, you will have to do only academic IELTS, only IELTS academic, and they don't accept PTE, they don't even accept IELTS general. So now with these kind of situations, you're forced to do just that exam. So if then you don't, if then you assess yourself and you find that you don't have really huge strength on IELTS academic, you could actually struggle like I did with getting accreditation with the body. However, so far I only know of social work having that kind of a, like just having like a specific exam to do, because for nursing, the people, my friends who've done nursing, they've got so many options. So when they finish to get their accreditation, they can do IELTS, they can do PTE, they can do an exam called OET, which is specifically for nurses. For other people, they're just told present with these standard English tests. So it also depends who is asking you for it. Now, when you're applying for, like, let's say permanent residency in Australia, or trying to get like a work visa, sometimes they will ask you for just a general test. So for example, when I was applying for my permanent residency, I just did PT and I just passed. So, and the score is also not higher. The score they want it's not higher. Some universities, when you're applying for a course, they're actually going to ask you to do an English test. Sometimes they can be specific that they want you to do IELTS, or they might not be specific, but they might give you a score. They might have like they might say you have to get a 6 out of 9, or they might say you have to get a 70 for PTE or whatever. So it's good before you do the test, find out from the organization or the institution asking you for it, find out which specific exam they need you to do. Otherwise, you can do a test and then they won't accept it. So I hope this was helpful. I've been meaning to do this video for a minute, and yeah, I think I said what I had to say about IELTS before, so I don't really think I want to dive into that. I really don't even like the test at all. However, like I said, the best thing, test it yourself. Do the mock exams on YouTube or online and test yourself which are your strengths. Find out from who is asking you which specific exam to do, so that you don't waste your money. And if you can do it in your country, why not? Why not? However, I have also said that doing it in Australia with IDP, I found it a bit easier than doing it with the British Council in Kenya. So it's a very subjective kind of matter. Just see where your strength lies, and if you're doing this test or any other tests, best wishes, and you are gonna ace it. So please guys, don't forget to subscribe, to like, to share. Please write a comment down below if you have done any of these tests, and let me know what your experience was, because it's actually very helpful for everybody else who watches in the future as well. Let's help even the kids who have not been born yet. Yeah. Hopefully they will not need to do these exams, but if they will, there we are. We're gonna have these videos here hopefully for a lifetime. So thank you so much guys, appreciate it. Stay well, stay blessed. If you're in Sydney or Australia, stay warm. It's raining here. But most importantly, love one another, being kind. Till the next one, bye.